So there's a really interesting video that I came across on Twitter. Basically, Donald Trump being interviewed. He's talking to reporters. He's talking to various people, and Trump has been pushing this notion of election fraud. Just a day or so ago, he did this long 46-minute video flailing about, talking about fraud, showing charts. And honestly, these fraud claims, Trump has been taking these things to court. And I make the point that the courtroom is the place where these things should get sussed out. I can't see that stuff that he's waving about. And the stuff that Giuliani is talking about seems unhinged. The woman that Giuliani is bringing as a witness seems unhinged. And the court cases are being lost. So, if this is the court case that Trump is pushing, if this is what some Republicans are pushing, then that's all I could go by in regards to what they're saying is fraudulent. And I'm sorry, it looks, there's not a there to it, at least that I've seen as of yet. But Donald Trump, William Barr, Trump's guy, comes back when asked, basically makes the point that the FBI and intelligence services haven't seen anything. We've investigated. We've opened up our offices for any evidence that people would bring to us. We haven't seen anything. Now, Trump, or Barr, is Trump's guy. Democrats call him the henchman of Donald Trump. And Barr, for the most part, has tried to run the investigation, has made the point that Trump was spied on, something that Democrats, cringed at, and he stood by that. And so I can't necessarily say that Barr is against Trump. I don't believe that. Republicans, yes. Republicans, yes. I don't think Trump has the institutional support to pull off what Democrats are screaming about as a coup. I don't think many of the Republicans in Congress like him. I don't think many of the Republicans that are in state caucuses like him all that much. But I do think they have to, at the very least, kowtow and shut up. Because ultimately, I still think Donald Trump commands a huge amount of power in the party and will do so for a while. An argument can be made that Barr doesn't necessarily want to set himself on fire for Trump, in which case he doesn't want to go to the mat on the various issues. Now, Barr made the point that said, look, I don't see anything that would change the outcome of this election. So that's not entirely gutting Trump's claim that there's election fraud. That's more so gutting the claim that it amounts to any kind of change in the outcome. Donald Trump is asked about this, and he's presented with this, as you would expect the president. Hey, your henchman, as Democrats like to call him, William Barr, has just said yesterday that there wasn't anything that the FBI or the intelligence services have seen, and again, they looked, that would amount to any idea of fraud. What do you have to say about that? And what do you think Donald Trump is going to say? Is he going to slam his own guy? Is he going to undercut his own guy? Is he going to hit him in the knees? Is he going to express no confidence? This is a really interesting interview because Donald Trump is asked a question in somewhat of an odd way, and he locks up. It's like he doesn't know what to answer. He doesn't know what to say. I don't want to gut my guy, but he's a deer in the headlights. There's an episode of Star Trek where Kirk tells a robot, he says, I'm always lying to you. And the robot says, okay. He says, but wait a minute. If you're always lying to me, are you lying to me now? He's like, the robot goes into this weird thing. It's kind of was what happened to Trump in that moment. Trump seemed like he didn't know what to say. He was conflicted between loyalty versus his innate ability to be an asshole. Welcome to the Progressive. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, please like, share, and subscribe. You can always support this content through PayPal or Patreon. This content is brought to you by you, and I appreciate you the opportunity for allowing me to do so. Trump is asked this question about Barr, and it freezes him. He literally freezes. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Let's take a look at the video. I love this.
the time to concede?
Well, he hasn't done anything, so he hasn't looked. When he looks, he'll see the kind of evidence that right now you're seeing in the Georgia Senate. You know, they're going through hearings right now in Georgia, and they're finding tremendous volumes. So they haven't looked very hard, which is a disappointment, to be honest with you, because it's massive fraud. Whether you go to Wisconsin, where we just filed a case, or Michigan, or if you look at what's happening in Georgia, as an example, or Pennsylvania, if you look at Nevada, which is moving along very rapidly, or Arizona, you saw those numbers come out yesterday. We found massive fraud, and in other states also. This is probably the most fraudulent election that anyone's ever seen.
Do you still have confidence in Bill Barr?
Ask me that in a number of weeks from now. They should be looking at all of this fraud. This is not civil. He thought it was civil. This is not civil. This is criminal stuff. This is very bad criminal stuff. So I just say this. We went through an election. At 10 o'clock, everybody said that was an easy victory for Trump. All of a sudden, the votes started disappearing, miraculously disappearing.
The next question should have been to Trump. And by the way, the vote disappearing stuff. Look, there are some states or some cities that are going to be more Biden and more Trump. The votes that were dispensed went to both Biden and to Trump. It depends on the state that you're talking about. There were some that, for the most part, were more in favor of Biden just because they might have been from a major city or something to that effect. Trump brings the stuff up, and that's kind of the point I'm making here. This stuff was aired in all of these courtrooms, and Wisconsin wouldn't even take it up. Look, at the end of the day, Donald Trump, when asked about Barr, the very next question should have been, why? Bill Barr, your pick. Why wouldn't he have due diligence in investigating crimes of this magnitude? Because look, the reason why I'd say, and I'm so adamant about transparency on this channel, and I kind of make the point that I'm good with Trump having these lawsuits, because I want, if there's electoral malfeasance, just like what I expected in the Sanders race in 2016 and even in the 2020 race, I want you to uncover that. I want to know that that's a big fucking deal. That would mean that the presidency itself was usurped and somebody who didn't win was put into that spot. So yes, I wanted Clinton to challenge, John Kerry to challenge, and yes, Donald Trump to challenge. And not just, we're just going to do the tally. No, I want him to get to the nuts and bolts of the electoral thing to see whether or not there's a there to it. It doesn't seem like he's going to do it. And I got to be honest, the ridiculousness that these guys are using about the communists is nonsense. I guess that's kind of my point in this. Like, if indeed there was something fishy about the election, it seemed that he's going about it in the most cartoonish way imaginable to prove it. So, yeah. The next question, why would your guy, Barr, not investigate vigorously all of the claims that you were putting out, if indeed that's true? That's not a dickish question. That just seems to be the question that most naturally comes out, right? William Barr is your guy. Why wouldn't your guy do due diligence, especially for something with the magnitude that we're discussing? We're talking about somebody that usurped the role of the most powerful man alive, apparently, that we're told. The leader of the free world. You can't usurp the role of the exceptional nation's exceptional leader. I mean, come on, right? It's an imperialist nation. No, I want Trump to invest due diligence, to get to the bottom of that. But notice his reaction here. He hasn't lost. He doesn't dislike Barr. That's the wild part about this. Like, he's on some level reconciling. Should I hit him? But he's loyal. Should I hit him? And he doesn't know what to say. Let's watch this one more time. This is awesome.
Moving along very rapidly, or Arizona, you saw those numbers come out yesterday. We found massive fraud, and in other, what's happening in Georgia, as an example, or Pennsylvania. If you look at Nevada, which is moving along very rapidly. Or Arizona, you saw those numbers come out yesterday. We found massive fraud, and in other states also. This is probably the most fraudulent election that anyone's ever seen.
Do you still have confidence in Bill Barr?
Now, if that was anybody else, he would have slammed him in that moment. Like, imagine for the moment if that was Fauci. What do you think he would have said about Fauci in that moment? Do you still trust him? No, the guy's a hack. He got everything wrong. It was just like, bam, instinctual. But for Barr, he doesn't do that. Like, he's, should I hit him? Should I hit him? That's the thing I think that's going on in his head right now. I don't think it's even, like, I don't even think it's conceptual. Meaning, I don't even think he recognizes that that's the war that's going on right now. But I think it's, should I hit him? And look, that could be, are there going to be consequences for me to hit him? Is he a friend of mine? Has he been loyal? I think all of that stuff gets kind of in an amalgam of, I don't know. He's not a bad guy from the standpoint of being loyal to me. By the same token, don't like the fact that he's not backing me up on the fraud. But he's not been disloyal. The best that he could do is
ask me that in a number of weeks from now. They should be looking at all of this fraud. This is not civil. He thought it was civil.
Basically, if he doesn't get on the same page, then maybe. I think the thing is, Barr has been a loyal soldier of Trump's the entire time Barr has been in that position. Everything Trump has needed, Barr. I mean, the investigation into that looks into him, meaning Durham being in that spot, looking into the origins of Russiagate. Again, something Trump wanted. Barr backing up the claims about Trump being spied on, which Trump was, by the way. Again, Barr backed him up. The media hysterical. Oh my God, you said the president was spied on. Yes, he was spied on. Yes. All of those things, Barr has backed him up all the way through. The death penalty, the clearing out the crowd in Washington Square, basically peaceful protesters being hit with batons, news media from the various countries. The news media in Australia was abused. Like shocked by the whole thing. They're like, oh, whoa. Did you see what just happened? I think they just punched our cameraman. All of that, Barr did it for Trump. So, Trump, are you going to slam Barr in this moment? No, I'm not going to slam him. But have I lost confidence in him? I can't say no. Oh, I love that. Trump is conflicted. I love that. That's fascinating to me. My wife says I love the like she doesn't like the conceptual stuff when I'm like digging into people's heads, but that's fascinating. Gardner, the idea that that Barr is from Trump loyalists is absurd. Barr is loyal to self-interest. Fair enough. For a long time, that meant sticking with Trump. Trump's now beyond toxic, right there. And that was the other point that I was making, Garden. Is it that this is one of the things where it's a stone falling? Like, Barr, up to this point, has been on Trump's side. He's been his yes man. He's been there with him. But the moment that it looks like Trump is losing power, and he's like, look, Trump doesn't have the institutional support to pull off a coup. He doesn't have the capabilities of pulling this off. He's on Twitter, for God's sake. I'm not setting myself on fire for him. I have a career after this. I'm not going to die in a year or two. More likely than not, I'm going to be here for a decade or two. Yeah, I'm not setting myself on fire for it. I agree with you, Garden. I think that's exactly what it is. I think he was a loyalist up until the point where Trump couldn't deliver. But that's what a loyalist, right? Is what it is. Trump lost. Yes, Fizo, Trump lost. Hell, even if you want to say that Democrats and Republicans are perfectly okay with the elections being shady and they keep it that way for explicit purpose of being able to screw around with it. And it's this Olympics of cheating, or Olympics where these guys get to do steroids. There was a Saturday Night Live clip where the guy was trying to lift like 2,000 pounds, and his arms rips off, but he doesn't feel it because he's on that many steroids. Where these guys just cheat each other. Even in that, it's almost like you lost, even in the context of cheating one another. He lost. How's Barr Trump's henchman? Barr is CIA. Trump has been backstabbed at every turn. No, the boy, 26. Democrats call Barr Trump's henchman. That's what I'm using, the henchman thing. On a secondary point, Barr has been lockstep with Trump the entire way through. I don't even know how that's debatable at this point. Now, you could say he's loyal to himself, and in that particular moment, him being loyal to Trump was the thing that was necessary. Fair enough. I'm just making the point that he has been loyal to Trump every step along the way. Now, whether you want to say there were back dealings or backstabbings, fair enough. If you want to say Barr was leaking information, I don't know that. Fair enough, maybe. I'm saying that in one step, and I gave multiple examples, Barr was with Trump lockstep. I mean, how is this debatable? The House is voting to decriminalize cannabis. Is it? Very nice. Very nice. All right, I'm going to end this here. I'm going to say like, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys in a few. I have one or two more that I want to do before today is over with. Thanks all. Be sure to subscribe.